All right, I think that we are live. Let me just check this really quick. Let's see. Just looking on Facebook to see that for sure we're here. But I'm pretty darn excited about this. We're actually going to go through an entire tutorial today on earrings. Okay, good. We're here. All right, my name is Jen Swift of wellcraftedstudio.com, and this mess behind me is my studio. I haven't actually gotten it cleaned up for you guys yet, but it's coming, I promise. But yeah, so today we're going to be making these little love letter earrings, and I'm super excited to show you guys how to do these. So what they are is they're like metal, and then we're going to do some infusible ink on them. And this is actually the first video kind of in my engraving challenge. So this week, for the next week in my Engraving Metals Facebook group, we're actually going to be going through a few different earring designs, and I'm going to be showing you guys, first of all, these earrings, but then I also have some little brass hearts that I'm working on, and then we're going to be doing rings too. So I'm going to be giving you guys the opportunity to kind of follow along and just kind of see how this works. So I'm going to demonstrate it, and my hope is that in the next week or so that you guys will be doing some of these projects as well and sharing them in the Facebook group. So that's kind of like the exciting part about this community challenge. Now, you guys can go off and do whatever it is that you want to do with earrings. Maybe this just prods you, gives you some ideas of what to do. I don't care. I just want you making cool stuff and trying something new. Right now in January, we're in kind of a little bit of a lull. So I thought that this is something that's going to maybe get you inspired, give you some new tools and techniques to kind of explore. But again, I just want you to try something because it's just exciting when we all try something. So posting it in the group is going to give you the opportunity to get some encouragement. You're going to have people saying, "Ooh, I love this," because that gets you fired up. And I know that we all have families that are going to be like, I'm like, "Oh, look at my new earrings." And my son goes, "Cool, Mom," because that's what he does. So anyways, so this is today, again, we're just going to be doing these little love letter earrings. And I am going to switch you over now to, well, go ahead, and we're getting a little jiggy with this, but I'm going to show you the workspace. So this is actually my workspace. Like, I'm just going to check chat, make sure. Oh, so people are here. Oh, good. Yeah, I am feeling better. My voice is still a little bit froggy. But yeah. So feeling better, definitely. And I'm glad to be doing this with you guys. All right, so you guys can see here, this is my workspace that I've got. So it's a little messy right now. I've already gone ahead. Oops, I got a cord here too. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and engraved these, but I'm going to walk you through in Cricut Design Space kind of what you do to get to this point. Engraving tends to take a little while, so I'm not actually going to go through the engraving part. I did that ahead of time, but I will be showing you guys the infusible ink part and how to actually turn these into earrings. So I'm excited to do that. But first of all, I want you to tell you that the design itself is in my wellcraftedstudio.com library. So you guys can go ahead and download that. The design, I adapted it from Amy Romeo's earrings, Valentine Day earrings workshop, which I mentioned last week in a kind of a kickoff video. So I know that during the week, some of you guys have gone ahead and checked out Amy's group and checked out her blog. And I know, Sarah, you said that it was just life-changing because she shows you how to make earrings with your Cricut, which is so exciting. That is like Amy's thing. Amy does this like daily or weekly. She has some cool new tutorial, almost weekly. But she has literally just, I don't know, at least, I don't know, maybe I don't think she's here, but you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of these earrings designs that you guys can play and follow along with. So that's kind of exciting. In her book, Earrings Made Easy, we'll go through a lot of these same things that I'm showing you today, but in much more in depth and using faux leather. So I'm going to give you like the quickie version today. But I engraved the earrings on here. This is a sublimation metal. So sublimation metal is basically a metal that's been treated with a sublimation coating. So don't let sublimation throw you off. If you've tried anything with infusible ink, with Cricut's infusible ink line, you're basically doing sublimation. So this is aluminum that's been coated with a sublimation coating. that's white, and that allows you to use the Infusible ink on it. So here's the Infusible ink transfer sheets that we're using today. So yeah, let's see. Do you guys have questions about, I mean, I'll be going more in depth as we go, but let's just check the chat here. Yeah, Sarah's excited. Like, seriously, this is so good. The girls get into the projects, but the son says sweet. Yeah, I basically trained my son to like how to respond appropriately by just saying, just, you know, as he starts like looking at me blankly, just to say, hon, just say cool. That's like all I'm looking for is a little bit of feedback there. So it's kind of funny because he knows exactly what to do. So we're going to be using the Sublimation Metal. We're going to be using Infusible ink transfer sheets. And then I have some little earring hooks here. They're just little silver ones. Right, like so. And then I have a couple little mini jump rings. And you could actually use smaller, but we're just using this size today. Which I actually have a companion blog post that I'm writing right now and should have published by tonight. That's going to have the size and links to all these different things, just to make it easy for you guys. All right. I've also got, let's see, so earrings, metal, Infusible ink. You're also going to want to use some purple, some blue painter's tape, your purple strong grip map if you have it. If you don't have it, you guys can use double stick tape on a regular mat. That helps. So that's a trick that Kay from Clever Someday uses, and it works really well. We're also going to be using the mini Easy Press, but again, you guys can use any heat source, even a regular iron. I love using this mini heat press because my workspace is kind of like, it's not huge. I don't have a huge table, and I tend to like clutter it up a lot. Like, can I get a raise of hands who tends to clutter their space no matter how big it is? So yeah, and I think that having the companion blog post is going to help you guys a lot. But easy mini press, but you can use the regular the regular easy press or the easy press 2 too. All right, so you're also going to need to make little holes in your metal. So I have a little metal hole punch that's for jewelry. You can get this at Michael's or at Joann's, I believe too, but I know Michael's, I've seen them, or Hobby Lobby. They're in the jewelry section. But basically, they're doing this little tiny hole. Again, I don't remember measurements, but so this is a really nice, easy thing to use. Just, punch a hole. Let's see. You can also, we're also going to be using, in order to do the jump rings on the earrings, we're going to be using 2 pliers. And I'll show you guys kind of what to do with that. And then we're using a metal jewelry shears. Now these, this shears is actually vintage, and I think I got it online, and I have links for that. But you can also pick one up at Hobby Lobby as well. But these are different than metal cutters in that the metal curls, we kind of cut backwards than you would think you would. And what I mean by that is we're going to be kind of cutting to the left side of things, because the metal will curl away then from your earrings themselves. So again, I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, but I just wanted to say that, this is a different tool than you may have used before, and it has some really great, awesome benefits for making jewelry that's going to make your metal jewelry making so much easier than it necessarily, if you don't have the right tools, it's going to be a little bit harder. You can certainly do it with just the metal shears. In fact, some of these you can just use like a heavy duty scissors. But this is like, I think it's $8, and it's an inexpensive tool that is going to be, it rocked my world. Weird things rock my world, but it might rock your world too, because you guys are like me. All right, so let's get started here. Are there any questions? Let's see. Yeah, 100% me. Annika says, big table, no room. All right. Oh, and Penny's, the connection keeps freezing. Sorry. So I'm hoping that's not my side. But yes. And then again, I kind of hope that my plan is to actually do a regular video on how to do this as well this week, so that you guys can have that as a reference as well. But that might not be for sure the blog post today, but the video might be a little longer. So we'll see. But it's going to take you guys a little bit of time to get some of these tools together anyways. At least the Sublimation Metal is something that usually you have to order. And this is a business card pack, so you get a lot of them. And again, the link will be in the blog post. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to switch us over to Cricut Design Space. This is me getting jiggy with it. All right, let's see here. Cricut Design Space. Okay, so I have already opened up a new canvas here. Let's just go ahead and let's go back here and let's see if we can do. Let's check this out. Okay, so you guys can kind of see me too. And then we will go up to here. And we want to show the screen. That's what we want to show. Actually, let's see. All right, well. Oops. Current application. All right, well, maybe we just won't do that because apparently I can't get too jiggy with it. I was going to try to do the screen and screen thing, but yeah, well, let's see. Because I just want to show you guys how to do this. In Cricut Design Space. Let's see. All right, well, I'm hoping that it looks like it's like really small for me, the Cricut Design Space part of it, and I really want you guys just to see that. So, but it looks like it's not working there. Huh, okay, again, I'm new at this, so, and it worked like an hour ago. Okay, so basically what we're gonna do down here is we're gonna open up Cricut Design Space. And we're going to do, I've already uploaded from wellcraftedstudio.com. I have the engraving designs. So here's the engraving design, and I'm going to click on it in my library. So I did upload, recent uploads, upload image, and now we're going to come down here to, let's see, add to canvas. And there we go. Let's see. It's really small for you. Oh, yeah. Let me just see here if I can figure this out again. All right, so we want it to be big. We want to show zoom to app windows. Let's see if that does it. We want to show the screen. We don't want to show me. Let's go to that. Nope. And then let's go to this and see if that works. Scenes. No, that doesn't do it. Sorry, guys. Okay, hey, there we go. Yay, this is what we want. All right, thanks for your patience on that. I want to give you guys a good experience, but technology. So I don't know about you guys, but with the Cricut Design Space stuff, I mean, this is about as max technology as I get right now. My husband is a software engineer, so he helps with a lot of this. But I'm kind of flying solo for these lives. So, all right. So we've got the engraving designs here, and they come in kind of small, which is what we want. And they're grouped. So if you look over here on the side, you'll see where it says Love Letter Earrings and see how everything's selected. So it's all grayed out. And now we're going to ungroup those. So now we have the 4 different layers here, which is the 2 hearts and the 2 earrings. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put my shift down on my computer because I'm on my laptop. I'm going to click each of the earrings envelopes. So those are both selected. I'm going to drag them off here. And down here, I'm going to put attach. So now if you see in the layers menu here, it says attach. And then I can come right up here to operation where it says basic cut and just change that to engrave. So then I'll come here and I'll just click on my screen and then push, like holding it down, I'm going to drag over these 2 things, the 2 hearts. Now those already say basic cut, so we're good to go there, but let's attach those. All right, so that, as long as you didn't want to change the size of these, and they're both, let's see, a little bit smaller than 1 inch wide, and that's what I have that I'm wearing right now, then you're good. But if you want to make them smaller, what you want to just make sure that you do is if you go back, and I'll undo it here and go back, back, back. Okay, what you just want to do is at this point right here, when everything's still grouped, then change the size, because that changes everything in, So let's see, here we've got them. So in fact, let's just come up here to the width at the very top in the toolbar and change that to 1 inch. And that will basically, let's see, and we'll come down here and make it way bigger for you guys, so you can see. Okay, so now each one of these is, if we look up here, a little bit less than 1/2 inch. So when we get back over to the camera, I'll show you guys, because I actually did make the ones that we're going to demo with smaller. So there we changed the size, so everything is changed in size. So now we can go ahead and do that same thing again, where we hold down the shift key and click on both of these layers and say attach. Then we can drag them to the side, change the operation again to engrave. And then we're going to just go ahead and select those and say attach. And then I always, especially with the engraving, recommend that you guys go up here and save at this point. Because what happens with the engraving is sometimes like something quirky will happen, like, oh, you forgot to change the machine selection. Like, you've got more than one machine and you were using the Joy before or the Explore, and now you're trying to engrave, which is only Maker. So you maybe, engraving, so maybe you forgot to turn this, to engrave. And you get back after you've done Make It, and you have to go back and change things, and then to get back to where you were is more difficult if you haven't saved. Because things can get quirky and you've already got everything sized the way you want. So yeah, anyhow, always always save. So we're going to come up here to save, and I'm going to say Love Letter Earrings. So I'll type those out. And then if you've noticed, your collections may not look like my collections. So my collections have Christmas projects, SVGs, pop-up cards. So different things that I do a lot, I've added under new collection. So I'm going to say engraving designs and save. So there we go. All right, I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's questions about this part of it. Let's see, live chat. All right. Let's see. Do I remember what I did for next time? You mean to find the actual screen? No, but maybe I'll just try to do some. I'm kind of following the idea that if I do enough of these things, it'll all go well, and I'll get to be a pro. But yeah, we'll see. And I'll try practicing again some more with the software. But it seems like every time I practice, it works. And then I get into an actual live situation and it doesn't work. So again, maybe I'm cursed. But all right, so we've got the 2 designs. I'm going to go ahead and do Make It. Were there any questions, by the way? It looked like there wasn't, but all right. Oh, and you guys got the caliper tools. Yeah, I didn't mention the calipers. I mentioned it last week, but the calipers, digital calipers, are so super sweet, and I'll show you guys those when we get to this part where we're actually showing the tabletop again. Okay, so right here we're on the page. We've got the engraving and the basic cut. And so what we want to do is just go ahead probably and move. I always move things more towards the center when I'm doing the engraving. And the reason I do that is because it just feels like it's a little bit more, you're going to get more even pressure towards the middle of the mat than the edges. And I could be completely making that up, but for me, that's just, it feels like that's a thing. Just after a lot of experience with this. So I drag it from that corner just to kind of in here more. And then, so we've got our design and we've got our basic cut here, which has got the earring or the infusible ink. So right now we're just going to go ahead and click on that. So you can see it's got white, which means it's selected. So on the other screen, gray meant selected. On this preview map preview page, white means selected. So down here it says mirror, so we're going to toggle that on, and that just flips the design, and that's what you need for Infusible ink, because then you press it in the reverse. All right, one thing I didn't show you guys here that I didn't mention is that usually when I'm doing these things, the first time I'll just do one set, but then the next time I'll go ahead and do like multiples, because that just, in case something happens where, I don't know, I accidentally cut through the earring design with my shears, I still have, others that I can use. So it's a good idea. All right, so we've got this on. So we'll go back and click on to this. And let's see, we've got it right now at like 4 and 4. I usually do like 5 and 5 or like 3 and 3. 4 and 4 works too, actually, I guess. But it just kind of helps me remember where I'm on placement on the screen. So let's just do 5 and 5 here. And let's see if we can go back to our camera here. Let's see. So let's go and click there and click here. Okay. Oh, you guys, it's actually working. This is so exciting. All right. So I've got my purple strong grip mats, and I've got my white sublimation business card. Now, these didn't come with any kind of plastic coating, but it's always a good idea still to check to make sure, because you don't want to sublimate on or engrave through plastic. So we've got the purple strong grip mat, and basically all we do is we're going to go ahead and place it at that 4 and 4 or 5 and 5, making sure that it's there. And then I guess one of the biggest tips I can tell you guys is that when you do engraving, you want to make sure that that strong grip, that adhesive on the mat, is completely like adhering to the mat. And so, basically don't just do the edges, but kind of press down all through. In fact, if you even want to get out your roller, like if you have I forget what they're called. But anyways, if you have one of those rollers that will give you even pressure for paper or something like that, sure, go ahead and get those out for this too, because we want it sticking to the entire surface. And then we kind of make it, stick even better by going, or like more secure, by putting these pieces of the blue painter's tape along the edge so that it doesn't shift. Now, this is more important when you're working with like a blank that's small and, really would show up if it shifted. For what we're doing today, where we're actually kind of giving our shape, engraving the shape that we'll cut out, it really doesn't matter as much. But, just to give you a nice idea. I'm not going to do it right now, but basically you would tape all the way around, press everything down really, really good, and then you can go ahead and follow this next step. All right. So any questions about that? Brayer. Yes, brayer. Thank you, brayer. Yes. Okay, so I started out as a printmaking major, and the fact that I can't remember brayer just shows you that was like 30 years ago. All right, and Karen's helping out. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. So I showed you guys how to do that. And let's go back to Cricut Design Space here. All right. So now we've got our design. We've got our mat preps. And we're just going to say continue. And actually didn't have this plugged in. So let's see if it hooks up Bluetooth here. Well, anyway, so you guys have, I'm assuming you have done some engraving before. If not, I have a ton of engraving videos. And I also have, and again, if you haven't done engraving, no big deal. This is a pretty easy one to start with. It just has a few more moving parts. But I do have a blog post on wellcraftedstudio.com on how to start engraving. I also have a bunch of YouTube videos right now that you guys can do as well. All right, so basically at this point, what I wanted it to show you is that you are going to be doing, let's see, actually, here's my thing. All right, plug that in, my USB. Let's see here. Let's go back, cancel, yes, continue, and then Oh, there it found the USB. All right, so here this is what I wanted to show you guys. So when we set the base material, you have a few different sheets or options for metal for the Cricut Maker. If we go to metal here and do compatible, you guys can see how there are several different ones here. Now what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using aluminum sheets that are comparable to the aluminum sheets that Cricut has. So Cricut has their own brand of aluminum sheets that actually have been coated with a sublimation coating, but they look metallic. Those are great for infusible ink, and that's actually what this coating's intended for. So aluminum sheets is what we're going to go with today. So I'll click on that. And if you guys noticed, I didn't actually, usually a lot of times in my videos, I'll show you guys how to duplicate your design and then align it and then go ahead and basically stack the design so that you get multiple passes. When you're doing something with a fill, you don't actually really usually need to do those multiple passes because you're removing more than just the line. You're removing an area, like a shape almost, with that fill. So the whole point of doing the deeper engraving is so that you can see it better. But when you're using those engraving fills, you really don't need to go too deep because you're removing so much of the surface. That makes sense to you guys. All right. So let's see here. About how long did it take to engrave the pair of envelopes? And what was my first craft ever? Okay, so first of all, I'll do the engraving. So the pair of envelopes probably took about half an hour. So really pretty quick. When I did I did like 4 of them, I guess, or 4 sets of them yesterday, and it took a couple hours, I think. So, which would make sense if it was about a half an hour to do one. Let's see. Anything else? Let's see. My first ever craft, the first thing that really I did was my mom had me trace Christmas ornaments on felt, and then we actually trace cookie cutters on felt, and then we sewed them together. So I remember that, and I think I was probably like 4, but obviously it rocked my world because here I am doing this as a career how many years later. So I love it. I do, and I'm so love Facebook because I actually found my tribe here. This is like the people that love what I love. Again, my family does not. All right, so we're going to pretend now. I'm going to come here too. So we've got the engraving tool in the next part of this with the basic cut. We're going to go and do the infusible ink part of this. And then, so after the engraving's done, Cricut goes ahead and prompts us now to do, choose the material setting for this. And you're going to want to choose Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet because that's what we're using for this next step. But I think that has taken us through where we need to go for the screen. So let's go here. And I'm just going to go and get us back to the camera. And there we go. All right. Yay. Okay. So now this is the part where I think you guys aren't really probably like super experienced. And that's basically the metal working part of this. And this is the part that I really have enjoyed learning. And so I'm kind of excited to show you guys. And if you guys get my Engraving Metals book that I do have a coupon code for right now for the engraving challenge in my Facebook group, I actually show you these different tools as well, and then walk you through some of these projects as well as some other projects. I think one of the big strengths of that book is that it does have the metalworking part to it. All right, so we're just going to start off by turning on the Cricut Easy Press, and when you're using the mini Easy Press, there isn't like a temperature setting like the numbers to set. You just go ahead and there's this low, medium, and high. The Easy Press Mini 2 is part of the Easy Press 2, and that actually has the higher temp that's designed to go with the infusible ink. Let's see. Any questions? Kids are home on a Sunday. Yep. All right. Okay, so we're pretending that I just showed you guys how to engrave. And now we've got these, and right now I actually had 4 like I suggested that I did, and I just kind of cut them apart a little bit from that one card so that we had a few different things to do. And then I went ahead and cut the infusible ink. I just did a little strip like this. And because we kept the proportions the same, I can essentially go ahead and you guys can see this right here. So I think you can see this anyways. Let's see if we can do that a little bit better. Okay, so I cut the infusible ink, and then this time I kept it on that transfer sheet backing, the tape, the transfer tape, because when we remove it, and I'll just show you guys, so if you basically kind of manipulate it and crack it a little bit, that helps you weed it easier. So let's go ahead and try to get this. I didn't get my nails polished before this live. Usually I try, and I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, probably not, but I try to match my nail polish to the project. I didn't ever do nail polish until I was started doing these tutorials, and now I'm kind of obsessed. So, okay, so there you go. So that was weeded, and they're pretty small, so that was pretty easy. And because of the way that we did this first part of the design in Cricut Design Space, we can just go ahead and they will match exactly where they need to be for the earrings. So if you guys can see that. All right, so the Easy Press is warmed up. It just beeped at me. And it is green. And so with the Easy Press, basically what you want to do is go ahead and, well, I think I had a piece. Oh, here. So the Infusible ink transfer sheets come with a roll of basically unwaxed butcher paper. You can purchase your own too, but make sure it's unwaxed. So I just cut a little piece of it and got everything lined up here. I'm just going to put this on top, and then I'm just going to set the Easy Press Mini on it. And we're just going to kind of count off the 30 seconds here. Oops, I got caught. When you're doing the infusible ink, you don't want to move the Easy Press Mini around at all. So when Cricut designed it, this is just a little tidbit here. They found that people in testing wanted to move it like an iron. And so they took the heat temperature settings and things and designed it so that it was meant to be moved around constantly. But when we're working with something this small, and it is an infusible ink design or a sublimation design, really the only reason to move it around is if the surface is, if you need to kind of cover the whole surface. So I guess what I'm saying is recommend don't moving it around, because when you move it around, you risk moving the design or the ink, which causes a ghosting effect. So, and I haven't actually sat here and counted this out. Let's see. But we're just going to go ahead and look. And I am using an Easy Press mat because it protects my work surface, and it is something I like. All right, so this is hot as well. I just burnt myself a little bit. Usually I have little heat press gloves. Okay, so it was off a little bit here. I don't know what I did with my heat press gloves, but I'm thinking you guys can see this. So it's a little bit off, but the kind of cool part here, so if I was doing this for real, I would have paid a little more attention there. But the cool part here is I used this cool marble pink for this, and you can see a little bit of the pattern even though they're super, super small. So it's a little thing. So for this, I actually have the red that I was using as well and cut that out. So let's just go ahead and do this again. So we're going to crack it. La 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 la. And remove. Oh, and I didn't actually want to remove that time. So I'm just going to press my little hook here down to kind of help it get started. And So that cracking part of it really helps kind of break through the paper backing that the ink is sitting on. Okay, so it kind of tore a little bit, but again, we just want the ink to be not torn. So let's see, I think this is for these, two of these were slightly smaller. So let's go ahead and line that up. And when I did the design, I kept the heart outline because I wanted you guys to, I wanted to be able to actually easily put where that heart is or know where it is. So it's kind of gives you an idea where to put it. Another thing I didn't mention is that when you do the design in Cricut Design Space, you can add a little dot here to engrave if you want, just here and here so that you know where to use your hole punch. But I'll show you a trick for kind of getting that even. All right, so we'll just do this and then I will check to see if there's any questions. All right. I know. Yeah, Sarah has actually talked to me about it. She recognized or does the nail polish thing too. It's so sad. Here I am 40 years old or older, 45, 46. And I'm just figuring out what 8-year-olds know about how to do their nails, but better late to the show than never, right? All right. It's maybe less than 30 seconds, but there you go. See? Super cute. Yay. Okay. Now we've got 2 good ones. That red is pretty intense too. So the next part about this is using that metal jewelry shears. Let's turn this off. I'll set it to the side. I'm going to clean things off here a little bit. All right. Let's move this over here. So this next part, we're going to be using the jewelry shears, the hole punch, the 2 pliers, the hooks, and the jump rings. So now the reason for the jump rings is that when you put these, well, first of all, you have to attach the hooks to the earrings somehow, but then it also helps them just kind of hang nicely. So I'm going to get a couple of those out here. And let's see. All right, so jewelry shears. Okay, so again, I mentioned before how you kind of use these differently. If you're right-handed and you were cutting, you would usually cut like this. So I will show you how wrong that is. So basically what happens when you cut normally is the metal curls up and towards your project, and you'll get kind of like a little sharp part that just kind of is bent in. It's usually more obvious with bigger pieces. So it didn't actually cooperate and show you how bad that is here. Oh well. So what we want to do is actually cut to the left of it, and you can almost use the edge of your shears to kind of get you a guideline. And that'll give you a consistent distance. So let's see. And again, I'm not right over this, so I'm not actually doing this super best that I can. But anyways, so the other thing you want to do is cut in straight cuts as much as you can to get the most of the material removed. So let's go ahead and do that. And I was doing it wrong. So again, the material, the part that we want to have be nice is going to be to the right. So the part that we're protecting, I guess, is the better way of saying it. And then again, try to do straight cuts to remove the majority of the material. Okay, so there you can see how that divot happened? Now, if I had been doing it the other direction, that divot would have happened in my design instead, that bent part. So I'm going to kind of muscle it in here. Now these little pieces here are sharp, so make sure that when you're doing this, you're doing it over a surface that you can see the little tiny pieces and clean them up easily afterwards. right, now go ahead and do this bottom part, and then I'm going to show you guys how to nibble. I kind of just like that term. So nibbling is just what you would think it would be. It's when you're just kind of going and making tiny, tiny little movements, and those little tiny movements just kind of, make nice curves and just kind of remove tiny little bits of the material. So let's see here. And with the nibbling, you can kind of just go use them like you normally would, and see how I'm just making those tiny little movements. Like so. The other thing I'm noticing is that I think that's maybe a little bit too much material too much metal on the side. It kind of like more of or less of a border, I guess what I'm saying. Now this does get a little bit tricky because I'm working so small here. But you can get a pretty exact. Okay, so back to the nibbling. It's just making tiny little movements or cuts. So first thing, remove large areas with straight cuts, and then come back and do those details. So don't try to get it super close when you're first making your first cuts. You can go back and kind of tweak. All right, so that is how easy it is to use those jewelry shears. Now, who is so excited about that? Because they cut like butter. I told you it was awesome. All right. Let's see. Okay, so got the live chat here. It doesn't look like there's any comments or questions. Well, comments, but no questions. Nibbling. Dory's like, yes, the terminology. I don't know that is official terminology, but there are metal nibblers, so maybe. Okay. All right, so we've got earrings, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use this. So right now, I am just going to eyeball it by looking really closely, like so. If I wanted to, I could make a little mark there with a little Sharpie, but we're just going to go with it. Like so. Okay, and now a trick that you guys might not know, and this is going to be cool. So see how on the back side of it's kind of sticking up a little bit? Now you can go ahead and file that off and all that, but that's kind of annoying. You could try cutting off, but that's annoying. If you just flip it over and go ahead and do the hole on the other side, then it just gets rid of it. And it's much smoother. And then if you really want to, you can come in with a small file, but I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's looking pretty good to me. And because we're working with a painted metal, I don't know that you want to do, too much filing because, yeah. All right. So we've got our hole like so. And now what I could do is just come here and put it right over the top of this one, match them up and use a fine tip Sharpie or something, or even just, go ahead and use this to mark it. And it didn't do it. So again, because I'm doing this, holding everything up, things are going to be easier for you guys because you're going to be focusing on and not trying to work over here like this or not doing it in the air. So anyways, you can make a little mark and that'll give you an idea of exactly where to make that hole on the other one. Or you can just eyeball it. Okay, so we've got our little earring looking adorable, right? And we've got our 2 earring hooks and we've got our jump rings. Now, when you do jump rings, there is a trick to get them to stay strong. So the way the jump rings are made is they're wire that are wrapped around a mandrel. So just something circular, like I use my meat thermometer. It's just something metal that's hard. You can use a knitting needle, I guess. But you just want to wrap it. You want to wrap it real straight, or you can buy the jump rings. They're cut so that the metal will completely connect up together. And that's what keeps them strong. Anytime you bend them out of shape, they're less strong, which is when, if you guys have ever had a necklace that, breaks at the clasp, but it's not the clasp, it's the jump ring. It's because the integrity of the jump ring was, the metal was compromised, either by pulling it or something like that, or maybe in the application. So it is more important than you may realize how you open or close the jump ring. And there are a couple different ways to do it, usually involving 2 pliers. And I can't find my nice flat nose pliers. So I'm using my round nose and just this little needle nose. But I really like the flat nose for things, so I gotta find that. Okay, so you're gonna do it so that the cut part of the jump ring is right even in between your 2 pliers. Let's see if you guys can see this. And then it's going to be all in the wrist. It's a wrist action. So it's not like necessarily hands, but you're just going to go and turn away from you and kind of like really straight on. So that you're basically not changing the shape of the circle, you're just opening it. And you only just want to do a little bit. I maybe did more than I needed to. And I'm going to thread this on. And then I'm going to thread on my... Oh, and I didn't show you guys, but one of the tricks for using, if you're using a jump ring especially, one of the tricks for earring hooks is you want to take that loop and just twist about a 1/4 turn so that it's facing, and hold it really tight here so that, again, you don't want to change the shape or the shape of the wire too much. You just want to twist it so it's moved. All right, so you guys can see that. So now I've got my hook here. I've got my earring design. I've got my jump ring. And it's almost easier to hold it with the pliers. And I'm going to thread this on. And I'm going to thread on this. And then I'm going to come back here. And so I showed you where it was side by side. You can also do it where it's where you're just kind of on, it's on either side, like halfway through the middle of the jump ring. So you're like this. My hands are shaking a little bit. All right, I don't know. Can you guys, I'll show you kind of sideways. So this time what I'm doing, I'm halfway through, I'm going to twist. Actually, I'm not going to do that because I don't like the feel of that. I really would rather do it the way I showed you guys. It's just that when you're working really small, sometimes it's easier to go this method than it is this method. Especially when you get the stuff on there. Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just do that twist again. So again, I have the cut halfway like between these. So I'm gripping them evenly on each side. And now instead of twisting my wrist forward or back, I guess, I'm going to be twisting it forward. Okay. Oh wait, no, I'm twisting it back. So again, it's all on the wrist because all I want to do is close that. I don't want to bend the circle shape. I took a thing a long time ago, I guess, where like she had us make a chain out of jump rings. So I swear it was like 100 jump rings and they were like super small. But what this gal said is that when you close your jump ring, the perfect close is you're going to hear an audible click. And what that is, it's the wire just kind of going right back into its original shape that it was when you first cut it. So what she would do to get that click is she would go and just like I showed you, but then she would go a little bit further. So rather than just closing it, she would go a little bit tiny further and then back. And then you would hear this little click. And so she sat there like, we're like all listening, trying to like over, 100 jump rings, trying to find that little click. And it rarely happens, but when it does, it is such like satisfying feeling. It's ridiculous. So if you hear that click, you are golden. All right. And there you guys go. Let's see. Let's see if there's any questions here. All right. You hate jump rings. Danielle hates jump rings. Jump rings, again, I had that, you do 100 of them to make a chain, and by the time you're done, you don't hate jump rings as much, or you hate them like 10 times more. And I don't know, I guess, so I always, one thing I always like to do with you guys, and if you've ever looked at my blog or anything like that, I always like to give you the options of how you can do things the most professional way possible. Because even though we're crafters and a lot of times we're crafting for ourselves, there's always a possibility that we're going to want to give these away, and you want to give the best product that you can. You want things to look handmade, but not homemade. And the same thing, if you want to go ahead and start to sell things, you want them to look as professional as possible. So little things like getting the smallest jump ring that you can, getting the strongest jump ring that you can, that's in proportion. So these are actually a little bit like large in proportion to the jump ring that I'm using. So if I was to do these professionally, I would probably go and find myself smaller jump rings, but I would also make sure that they're not super flimsy. I like the strong jump ring. Again, with the earring things themselves, spending the extra money if you can to get the sterling is a good idea, because so many people have allergies to metal, or just making sure that it says it's hypoallergenic. Getting nice earring hooks that, like, these are a little bit long, and things, they could easily fall out of, there's not a lot of bend here and so they can more easily fall out of your ear. So just even going and giving it a little bit with the round nose pliers, probably a little bit of twist at the bottom. They call this user experience, and that's like a big deal right now, is thinking about the user experience. So what little things can you do to make this a better product for people? So including those little clip things at the bottom, little things like that. So, and then presentation. You can buy some really cute little wood or paper boxes, or I posted in my Facebook group this week an idea that my friend Emily had of creating explosion boxes with earrings at the center. That's actually something you want to do for someone that's really special, because you can use photographs as well. So it's somebody you have a personal connection with. If you were selling these again, you would probably want to have just like a simple little box with a sticker on it that says something about your logo or your mission or your handmade. But yeah, little things like that matter. And again, it's the difference between handmade and homemade. So anyways, let's see. That's basically it. I can show you guys again. So here you can see where the jump ring itself is much more in proportion to the size of earring. And you guys can see that little design here. And again, I love the red here. I think that's really fun. This Sublimation blank, it has a pearl surface to it, which you can't really see in the video. And then the engraving itself, and you can see it much more in these bigger ones. When you have an engraving fill, it actually creates a real glittery sparkle effect, which is really fun and complements that pearl coating. So yeah, those are love letter earrings. And I think, start to finish, do you guys have questions? Could you sublimate the envelope too? You could sublimate. White doesn't sublimate. That's just the coating. There isn't because sublimation is dye. Now, if you guys want to know more about sublimation and working on sublimation with your Cricut, I do have another blog post that I created that called Sublimation Made Simple, and that it goes into the whole process of what sublimation is and kind of explains it, because I know that term itself is a little bit daunting. At least it was for me. For the longest time, I didn't get a sublimation printer because I thought it was, scary. Like new things are scary, like your Cricut is scary at first. But like so many other things, it really isn't. Basically using a sublimation printer is like using a regular printer. It's just that, you would reverse things and then you heat press it to get it to go onto your object. So I would definitely recommend using a sublimation printer. And if you guys want to do more sublimation in videos like this, I can definitely show you that too. Karen Lenz in our group has done some, and so has Dory actually, has done some incredible sublimation on metal and then engraving through it. So I would definitely go into the Engraving Metals Facebook group and just search for either their names or search for sublimation in the group if you want to see more of what you can do with sublimation and metal and engraving. So yay! I think that's what I got for you guys. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm going to try to go ahead and, let's see, actually, I'll put you back on the camera over here. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm hoping to go ahead and be a little bit more supportive in the group for some of this engraving challenge. So I'm thankful that you guys were willing to go ahead and give me another week clearance here so that I could start feeling better. And then I've got some different designs that I want to try, and whether those become Facebook Live videos or if it's going to be just posts in my group, or maybe I'll just show you guys like what the possibilities are. I'll do that too this week. So, and of course, I want to show you guys some ring things as well. So let's hopefully plan for that later this week. I'll do a little tutorial and something like this, but using rings instead. So yeah. And then I hope you guys saw it, but Karen did some amazing rings this week, which I was just blown away by. So yeah. Okay, so let me just double check quick, but I think that we've got everything. All right, guys, I am so grateful that you joined me for this. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I am going to be in the Facebook group, so if you guys want to go ahead and ask questions, I will be answering them. Karen's already started answering. Karen is amazing again. I'm so thrilled that she's part of this group and now moderating. So between the two of us, I think we can encourage and support you as you try some of these new things. So thanks for joining me.